Regular chair.
We're now live. Hello and welcome to Broadsheet on the Telly. Hello and welcome to Broadsheet on the Telly. My name is John Preposterous Ryan, and you're very welcome. I am not well this week, so forgive me if I'm not presenting with vigor. I have kidney stones, so they're dissolving as we speak. So bear with me. A big hello to Johnny Keenan in Kilkenny. Hello, Johnny.
Hello, John. How's it going? Well, I know how it's going. Hopefully it'll be going better.
Big hello to Neil Curran, our producer.
Hello.
In Dublin.
I don't have kidney stones.
Okay.
Sorry, John.
You're a brilliant producer, which is why we're 10 minutes late to start. No, and Vanessa Foran from her new office, her repositioned or remodeled office.
Yeah, it's a new office, purpose-built.
Purpose-built. And can you explain who the person is behind you, Vanessa?
Yeah, I've been waiting for an opportunity to introduce you to a lady called Caitlin Phelan. Can you see her on the camera?
We can.
Yeah.
Yep.
Caitlin is, well, when I met her before Christmas, she was 17 and she was just back from India. The world champions boxing, women's world championship, excuse me, everyone. And she came back with a bronze medal. And there was quite a few medals on the Irish ladies team. And she was telling me that they went out there and on their way out, they nipped into Pennies and they all chipped in to buy matching hoodies and tracksuit pants because the Irish ladies team going to the World Championship weren't given team gear.
Okay.
So I asked more questions, and eventually they actually get to borrow the vest and the shorts when they're actually in the ring. And that's it from the boys. They go to these events and they don't have team tracksuits or the shirt and the tie and the jackets that all the boys get.
Right.
And they even have to buy those trainers. You know, these boxing trainers, the big high ones themselves. Now, Caitlin's very lucky. Her dad is her trainer. His name is Paddy Phelan.
Right.
And I got to know him through my work in Kildare, and he's a very well-known trainer. He's very well-known. He runs, I think it's St. Bridget's. I've written down here, St. Bridget's Boxing in Kildare town. And it takes everybody in and trains them. But Caitlin got a bronze medal in the World Championship. So she's a great tip for a medal in Tokyo.
What weight, or is that a rude question to ask?
She wrote it down for me, and I can't read it. But I'm down there tomorrow, and I'll find out. But I doubt it's more than 50, 60 kilos.
Right. But, did you say Caitlin is 17?
Yeah. So she was 17 when I met her in December.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so she gets to compete under 18 this year at the World Championships. And so she's a great tip for a medal in Tokyo. Okay, but here's the thing: Caitlin doesn't get a penny.
Okay.
She doesn't get Joe. She's finished school. She did her leaving cert last year. She doesn't get any sports grants or high performance grants or she doesn't even get a tracksuit, guys.
Oh.
Where's she from, Vanessa?
Kildare town.
Oh, if she was from
if she's
Rochester constituency, she'd be grand.
Yeah, and I think I live here in the South City, and I spent a long time in the South Inner City in around the Coombe. And in fact, I was the financial controller in the Coombe Hospital for a while, and I'm hearing stories all around the place here that, you know, particularly Crumlin has a huge sporting tradition. Crumlin United is a very well-established soccer club, and there's a Crumlin boxing club has had actually an Olympic gold medal. And Robbie Keane started off his soccer career here in Crumlin. And I'm told that the gymnastics club in Fatima Mansions got 490 quid from the allocation. There isn't there is no pitch in the South Inner City. None. That's a crazy scenario. Yet Wesley get 150,000, not begrudging the 150,000, but they get to charge 80 quid a night for the use of the volleyball court.
Amazing.
you're actually grant aiding them to generate more income. Same with the golf club. No problem with them getting grant. It's probably better spent developing sports grounds and activities like that. But when you're collecting fees like that on the back of that type of investment, sorry lads, you're actually enhancing their business.
So
and now
Lord Ross has lived down to expectations, isn't he?
No, but isn't it great to head off out and get his photograph to Rio and get his photograph taken with the sailors? I bet you they won't see him down there in St. Bridget's in Kildare.
Well, he tweeted he was next to Dave Kearney and he was Rob Kearney on Saturday, and it's just this. Well,
now be honest, I wouldn't know the difference.
Gone wrong and boring now, and frankly, like all that nonsense about the wasters. And do you remember back in the day, as somebody was saying today, he was on the Late Late Show talking about cronyism, sitting next to his son-in-law, talking to Brendan O'Connor, who worked with him on the Sunday Independent, and the cronyism. I mean, it's so public now. I mean,
yeah, this is it. Like they're actually really enjoying it now.
Before we get too cynical, sorry lads, but before we get too cynical into delving into cronyism and jobs for the boys, here's a reality check. This team went out to a World Championship. They came home with medals, and they had to borrow the vest and the shorts from the boys. Sorry, that's not good enough.
It's not. No.
It's absolutely not good enough.
No,
So we either promote equal opportunity with our elite athletes, and it's like water only flows one way. So like if Wesley get their 150,000, fine. Make it available for everybody else. Not anyone that can pay 80 quid a night to rent the volleyball court. Because you can be sure you'll go down to the gymnastics club in Fatima Mansions tonight, or to the ground that they're playing, the St. Kevin's are using. They're not charging 80 quid a night. They're not charging bloody anybody.
Neil, were you pleased about Wesley getting their facilities?
I was delighted. It's great for all the students in Wesley to have, to be fortunate enough to avail of such facilities in tragic times. I'm pretty. My age. Wesley was a school that we kind of frowned upon when I was in school because it was yuppies. But just with all that going on, I was reading about the facilities they currently have. Like I went to Sing Street for quite a few years. It was a terrible time in my life, but we had nothing. We had a gymnasium that we weren't allowed to use, a gym hall like we weren't allowed to use, and it was horrendous. We had the rugby. No, sorry, not rugby. We had GAA, hurling, and maybe soccer. But you weren't allowed to play rugby because that was for the posh kids. Rugby was a taboo when I was in school. But we had nothing, absolutely nothing. Maybe we did, and the teachers kept it for themselves, but we had no facility. So for the likes of Wesley to have such lavish, and is Wesley a private school?
Do you feel
it is fee paying. It is fee paying, and I don't want this to turn into fee paying, non-fee paying, and Wesley getting 150 grand. Fact is, they charge for the use of those facilities, so you're enhancing their income ability to earn more income, and that's what I have a serious problem with. This money is either for our elite or our athletes, or to generate the next round of athletes and to encourage people to participate in sport at any level.
Well, I think
who is being encouraged to go to Malahide Golf Club if they don't have 8,000 quid, to become a member?
Yeah, I think
there's plenty of county councils, there's plenty of local authority golf clubs and pitch and pub clubs.
I think they mixed.
Let's get real here. Either this money is available to everybody or it's not.
It's not.
But go back to Caitlin here. She is one of her best chances for a medal in Tokyo. And nobody knew her who she was till I put her on the wall here this evening. Right. If she was a sailor, you'd know who she was.
I don't know any sailors.
I know who it is.
Or a show jumper.
Can we just address what it is that we're talking about? Sport. Just analyze that word for a second. Sport. It's not health. Maybe it's a form of health, but Irish obsession with sport is unbelievable. And I actually challenged Bertie Ahern when he was on his circuit in 2002 in Kilkenny. He was just after giving 50 million to sport and organisation, same as your man did, and just for the votes, because then you could say, "Oh, we got this, we got that." Well, here's the thing, right? I'm not an old man. I'm 43. I'm not going to give you the story of me going to mass at 10 o'clock and then coming back and giving my brother the shoes to go to 11 o'clock mass. That didn't happen. It might happen to my father or grandfather, but it didn't happen to me. But what did happen to me was, across the road from us was the GA pitch. And everyone on that street within that club picked rocks from the ground to turn that into a football and hurling pitch, primarily football. That's what we did. We got bottles of Lucozade. I never paid a penny to go play GAA. I paid for a pair of football boots. One of the lads in the club knew a lad who had a sports shop, so we got a discount of it. Our jerseys were worn by the under-14s, under-16s, and minors. The seniors had the local business sponsoring them. Like, this obsession with sport and the obsession that it needs money. If you want to go play a sport, make it work. It's not a business. It's either a business or it's a sport. You can't have two. You know, you can't be making money. I'm not bringing the GAA as an amateur organisation into it. I'm just saying that, like, the GAA, for example, in Offaly, got 21 acres of prime land outside of Tullamore. That could be social housing or public housing, whatever. But no, it was given to the Offaly GAA, paid for fields. No, that's another story. So, we need the money to go. We need the money.
You're assuming that
Vanessa, I listen to you and make my point.
Okay, Vanessa, just let John finish, please.
No, it was. You're damn right. It is. It's between Tullamore and Kilcormac. You go and check it out and tell me it's not. I'm just saying that this sporting obsession, it's fourth or fifth down the mark as far as I'm concerned. First health, then education, and then there's two other things above sport in this country. So sport is not number one. As much as Radio 1 tried to give it as much segment as the news, it's a distraction from reality. Give the money where it's needed. And,
yeah, but that's fair enough, Johnny. But it's unfair to send out elite athletes, international athletes, onto an international playing field.
You're right.
Whether it's in a boxing ring or a rugby pitch or a soccer pitch or a swimming pool or whatever it is, and have the lads more equipped, more funded, more prepared than their colleagues in the other dressing room, in the ladies' dressing room. You know, that's the main. That's my main argument. But at the same time, there is a huge inequality, not just between the genders here. But there's an inequality. Is an inequality as to A, the sport, and B, the location.
Okay.
Right, so at a national level, they should be given a kit. That's a very simple request. How you can argue against that is it's almost barbaric. But the second one here, Vanessa, is that, and I'm just saying what the situation in this country now is. Let's just deal with Ireland. It is almost like recognised and understood, for whatever reasons, that it is the year of the woman. So this is a great marketing strategy for the under-17s to say, these are women fighting for Ireland. Can we get a sponsor out there? You know, it should be that easy. One phone call. Come on. It's not that difficult, really. But I do take your point. I'm not distracted from it. But, you know, someone from the Irish Boxing Association, obviously they fucked up 2 years ago in the Olympics. They still haven't got their act together. They can't make a phone call and say, do you want to sponsor the Irish International Under-17s? I can't believe how you wouldn't get them queuing around the corner for that. That's only a phone call.
This wasn't an underage competition. This was the full whack, like.
All right, yeah, okay.
Was there an injection?
Actually, I have the. Sorry, John.
After Katie Taylor's Olympic medal, wasn't there a flood of cash into the women's boxing then?
I'm unsure because I know there's been an investigation into the refereeing at that Olympics.
No,
and they have found issues. But Katie is a professional, and Kelly Harrington, incidentally, in the summer before last, I think, was beaten out for a silver, and she never saw a penny of the kind of money you'll see given to tennis players and swimmers and sailors. You know, and these are the people bringing back the hardware. and they have to borrow their gear from the lads. You won't see the swimmers. You won't see the swimmers borrowing the gear off each other.
Yeah. Well,
the gymnasts.
I think we're kind of
a bit awkward.
It's like you're scolding us about this. We didn't do this.
Oh no, I know.
We didn't. We did. I'd give them I'd give them my shorts now. I mean, whatever. Johnny, I'm sure would.
If I was wearing my wife beater, I'd give it to them as well.
Stop it. Sorry, no, I didn't mean it to come across like that. Was I coming across a bit Nell McCafferty, was I?
Slightly didactic.
You were standing up for the sisters. Nothing wrong with that.
To be honest, I have to be honest. It sounded a little bit like I was being told to get their gear. Like
I was waiting for you to give us homework of detention and lines.
All right, you know what?
I would too.
I'm not saying any more now.
The old one too, rope-a-dope.
There's the medal anyway, guys, and it's huge. It's like, it's massive. Can you see it?
Good woman. What's her name again?
Caitlin Phelan.
Caitlin Phelan. Thanks,
That's
Vanessa.
fantastic. Thank you, Vanessa, for that. We have this slot now every week. It was Rosie the Riveter last week, and
Rosie the Riveter.
the headscarf.
Well, I have another lady for you. Would you like to see another lady, John?
I'll tell you what. Can we just give it 1 second, because I want to go straight to Neil. Because I know people really love his entertainment slot.
John wants to go make tea.
And the people who retire early to go to bed always miss it, and they miss great stuff at the weekend, apparently.
Well, apparently so. It's the last dead weekend before Easter. Do you really want me to do that, or do you want to talk about that lovely lady that's on the screen?
She's entertainment. See, it's a good segue.
Right, well, we've got 3 movies out this week, but there's this bonus recommended flick I want to share with people.
Oh, brilliant.
So, there's nothing good this week, I'm afraid. We have A Wrinkle in Time, which is the Reese Witherspoon and Oprah Winfrey fantasy adventure, and it's pants, and the critics hate it. It's just a big pile of nonsense. But if you want to go see it, knock yourself out. Chris Pine is in it. All the ladies like Chris Pine. So yeah, that's a Disney. It's just terrible. Now there's this.
Is Oprah acting in it, or?
Yeah, Oprah's in it. Yeah. She looks a bit wild in it. It's all fantastical. Someone's dad disappears and chaos ensues. But yeah, it's not being well. It's not being favored well with the critics or with audiences.
MK Ultra. It doesn't work for everyone. You know?
Doesn't. And the other film out this week is one for the geeks. It's the sequel to Pacific Rim, the Guillermo del Toro film from a number of years ago, and it's Pacific Rim 2: Uprising, and it's more big robots beating up big aliens and crash bang 3D rare. It has John Boyega from Star Wars and Attack the Block in it. He's quite a popular actor, but it's even worse than the Oprah Winfrey film.
No.
So whatever floats your boat with those two.
Are the Star Wars actors allowed go off and do other sci-fi stuff? They
are, and you know, it's a funny question, because that was always the rumor about Mark Hamill after the Star Wars films, that George Lucas had made him sign this very restrictive contract. But I think he never talks about it. But I think it was more he just paid enough money that he just didn't give a shit after that, because he did act, but just not much. He did a lot of voiceover work. But it was this thing. I guess Lucas was very protective. Bit of Star Wars trivia. When they were filming, so Carrie Fisher was 19 when they filmed the first Star Wars, and you might recall the trash compactor scene where they shoot a hole in the wall. Han Solo and Luke Skywalker are stormtroopers, and they go into this trash compactor, and it's deep enough with water, but because Lucas wanted to keep it a family-friendly film and didn't want to risk of poor Carrie Fisher's nipples getting aroused by the cold water, he had her tape her bosom down. Well, so the story goes, to avoid any erotification of the scene. But that was all fine until Return of the Jedi. Yeah, that was all fine until Return of the Jedi when she was in a bikini anyway. The other film that's out that I know feck all about, it's more yeah.
What was the point of that story, just briefly?
It's just to avoid the eroticism of Star Wars, but he undid it all with Return of the Jedi and created this iconic princess in a gold bikini.
I think George Lucas is a very, very, very strange man.
He's a very rich man.
They're usually the strangest.
Yeah. Neil, you were over the last few shows, and you're talking about Star Wars, all about, keep Disney keep doing more and more, we'll find different strains of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Keep pumping out. I was reminded about. I was in Disney in Orlando. It was actually 2 years ago, and they just launched their Star Wars.
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of excitement for it. They're going to have Star Wars Land, and you'll be able to stay.
Yeah, and the one thing I know about Disney in the theme parks is that these things cost billions, so they need to keep turning out the movies to keep the people coming into the theme parks.
Well, that's right. But also the films aren't doing as well as the investors want them to do. So The Force Awakens was one of the biggest Star Wars movie opener, and then The Last Jedi was still made a crap load of money, but it was a lot lower than was expected.
Was it?
There's a lot of theories around that.
But Neil, they spend the budget developing the Star Wars land in, just say, in Orlando is 10 times more than they spend on putting a movie out. Like, it's billions.
True, but the thing you got to ask, because you go put it side by side with Harry Potter World or whatever they call it.
Yeah, been there.
I imagine Harry Potter World is going to have more longevity because most of the people who get horny for Star Wars Land are kind of older generations who will probably try and torture their kids by bringing them along. But it would be like, you know, when you were growing up.
It's not like that at all, actually. I can tell you about it if you want. We were one of the first there. We did the poetry.
Vanessa, I'll tell you what, can we just get through the entertainment slot, because it's a popular slot that people look forward to, and it's Neil's slot.
I want to hear about Harry Potter.
He didn't want to do a two-hander on it. He said he could do it on his own.
Oh no, I'm very nervous. All right, well, very quickly, the other film out is Westwood, the Vivienne Westwood doco thing. I don't know very much about it, so that's probably can't be as bad as Pacific Rim 2. But that's those movies. But there was one movie I wanted to give a shout out for because it's actually on Netflix. So if you've got Netflix, you can watch it for free. And it's a film called Annihilation. It stars Natalie Portman and Jennifer Jason Leigh. Yes, it's based on the book simply called Annihilation. That's a trilogy of 3 books, and it's kind of a science fiction fantasy thing, but it's without sounding like a film geek, it's a very intelligent science fiction film, and there was a bit of a controversy about it when it was being made because the studio Paramount weren't big fans of it, and they wanted to change the ending and do some rewrites. But the producer had the final cut and held the line and said, "We're not changing the film." It's very good. It's very entertaining. It's got the cast, all the leading cast are all female. Not that makes it any difference, but it's very well put together. It doesn't do that Hollywood thing of trying to explain the sciencey fiction bits, and so I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought the cinematography or the was quite appealing as well.
So even the kind of the adult movies are sci-fi now. Even the sort of adult themed movies are have this sci-fi element to them.
Yeah, well, it's all the rage. It's science fiction is a reflection of our social problems, to some degree.
I think.
Oh, it's directed by Alex Garland. Sorry, to throw that in there.
Oh yeah, the
beach.
The beach, right?
Yeah. Ex Machina, 28 Days Later.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where they're. Now it's not going to be everyone's coming. I know a couple of people who weren't mad at it, but I thought it was excellent. Really worth a watch.
Okay.
And that's on the Netflix. Next week is going to be a great week for the Easter because
just on the last one, the sci-fi thing. If you weren't into the sci-fi, would it just drive you nuts?
Well, the sci-fi. It's the same goes for horror as well. Like, I mean, a really good science fiction film, a really good horror film. It's not about the horror or the science fiction. It's about the relationships and the characters. And Annihilation is a good example of that because you're following the what the characters are going through without going into any of the plot. You're following their story as opposed to the spectacle of there's an alien or there's a spaceship.
Please, Vanessa.
Well, I saw Annihilation.
Go on, tell me you hated it. Yeah, I knew you'd say that.
No, well, that's what I want to say is maybe I'm not in. They can put together any old crap and throw in a few special effects, and as long as they have a lead actor in it, it's a movie. Because what I saw was about 4 or 5 different scripts put together. and it had an Oscar winner, and suddenly it's a big, huge sci-fi movie. There was no common theme through the whole thing at all. Not even the relationships were.
Now you'd get a job in Paramount because they had such little confidence in it. They didn't even give it a theatrical release outside of the US. So you'd probably get a job there. But they, I don't know. I thought it was.
This amazing movie.
There's someone else been looking at my LinkedIn profile. It hasn't been Paramount.
Alex,
we hope it's not downloaded.
Is there a connection there, Neil, between the way these sci-fi films and most of the big budget films that come out of Hollywood or America from any of the big studios, they're almost apocalyptic, and there's been connections being made with the CIA and the FBI and the DAE and other forms of American government.
Yeah, that's
you're into Bodger territory there.
Neil is the wrong man, Johnny. Don't go there.
I mean, science fiction and horror,
like the moon is made of cheese. I mean, don't go there with this guy.
We did land on the moon, John. I just want to put that out there. But yeah,
I don't know, man. You weren't there.
I mean, a good one is generally, some kind of reflection on society and the social issues we face. So if you look back to when George A. Romero made Night of the Living Dead, back in the 60s, and which was groundbreaking for the time. He didn't call them zombies in the film, but that was essentially, a reflection on what the States was going through in terms of the whole McCarthy era and, the fear of communism and all the rest. And then Dawn of the Dead, the sequel, then that was very much the theme was, about how consumerism had consumed America. So, strong movies will carry that message well, but the vast majority of shite that we watch will not.
Yeah, Johnny, don't think out of the box. Stay in that box and shut up.
Stay in your box and obey.
Right.
Obey. There's a film, Johnny, that I think you'd love, and John would love as well. It's a film called They Live.
Into the West.
And it stars Rowdy Roddy Piper, the wrestler.
We know that film. We all know that movie. And that is, what it's like with you. It's like that epic fight with the two guys.
The two guys in the alleyway. But that's the true story, that film, perhaps.
Yeah, because the fight is the struggle between me and you, Neil, basically,
It is.
I'm trying to force you to wear the glasses or just have one look through the Ray-Bans.
And you'll see there's no American flag on the moon.
So, okay, so just go back over the movies. The Westwood documentary.
I don't know anything about it.
It sounds interesting, though, no?
If you're into Vivian Westwood, I guess, yeah, but that's
the slot is entertainment. You can't just be into that.
You can't know it all, though, John. We're not going to lie here and pretend. I mean, we're just overwhelmed with the invites to the premieres and to the press screenings. So you just can't get to them all. But next week's going to be a good one because the Steven Spielberg Ready Player One is out next weekend, and that's going to be a nostalgia journey for people.
What is that, Neil?
It's based on a book, but it's a dystopian future, your favorite type of future, John, dystopian. And there's this virtual reality that people connect themselves to, where to live a better life, and they have an avatar. But there's this kid, and he's fighting. And basically, the setup of it is that the maker of the game has this secret within the game, and if you discover it, you control the game, and then the government is afraid of people control the game. But anyway, the guy, there's a lot of nostalgic retro nods to a lot of it. He drives a DeLorean from Back to the Future, for example, and the character of the Iron Giant is his friend. And when you watch, people are dissecting the trailers because so many characters and things from our youth came up. Now, it is based on a book. But the feedback, I haven't seen it yet, but the feedback is that the film does the book a wonderful justice. In fact, the film does so much that couldn't have been done, obviously, in book format. So I'm a little bit excited to see that. But I'd say that's going to be a popular one when it comes out.
Yeah, what is that called again? Sorry.
Ready Player One.
Ready Player One, and
it's Mr. Spielberg who's behind it.
But it's a cinema release.
Cinema release, yeah.
Right.
It's based on the book by, I'm going to have to look this up because I don't know, I can't remember the guy's name. Awkward pause. I'd have to look it up.
Highly manipulative, and you're ahead of the queue, first of the queue, are you?
Well, I won't say first of the queue, but I'll be curious to see that. I'll try and venture to the movies and skip Pacific Rim and watch it.
Yeah. I think the Pacific Rim, they've got to change the name for Europe. The Pacific Rim, what's the site? It's the
Uprising.
Uprising.
Yeah. Well, actually, speaking of changing things for Europe, so we know that Disney are flogging the Han Solo film, and that's coming out. But there's a bit of controversy and censorship because the posters and the images of the film, a lot of them picture Han Solo holding his ray gun or his laser pistol, and Chewbacca with his infamous bowcaster, as it's called in Star Wars lore. But for some countries, all of the guns have been removed from the posters, so you get these very strange instruments or very strange images of the characters in their pose with their hand by their side or across their body or whatever. So yeah, censorship.
Brilliant. That's absolutely class. Because if you look at like Liam Neeson, an Irish guy, he's not in diarrhea. He's never been in diarrhea. But why is he holding the gun in every film that he's on? You know, if you look at any of those classic films, everyone's holding the gun.
Yeah, they kidnapped his daughter, for God's sake.
I told you I met him, John.
Liam
Neeson.
No. What happened?
I don't know. I wasn't really taken with him.
Jesus Christ.
Johnny, we've been waiting all year.
I've been waiting. Bang, bang. No, seriously though, I just think it's really bizarre when you have a 12-cert film like Men in Black. Okay, I know I think it's a fair point when you look at how fucked up America's relationship with guns are, because they're everywhere. You know, when you're advertising as 12-cert and you've got Men in Black with two big revolvers and AK-47 Rambo, these are iconic images that 10, 11, 12-year-olds have on their poster, on their walls. It doesn't make any sense. So what exactly, if you're talking about the art of cinema, what's it got to do with guns? You know, is that a valid point to make on the subject?
Well, if the movie is about space cowboys, space pirates, and shooting aliens, I mean,
it was in context.
Now, Neil, is that it now for this weekend? What about if say you wanted to go to see a movie that did well at the Oscars? Is there any still on?
I Lady Bird is still out there.
It's the Saoirse Ronan movie.
Saoirse Ronan, yeah. What else is there still out? Awkward pause. Mary Magdalene is still out there. Damon Ivor still out there.
Damon Ivor has done very well in the box office, Neil, hasn't it?
Well, when you're up against Pacific Rim 2 Uprising, it's not that bad. It's not that hard. Black Panther's out there. Yeah, it's like Darkest Hour. There's not a whole lot of great choice though at the moment, but there really is. We get less quality films.
So the Gary Oldman movies that's still out, and
I Tanya's still out there. Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. Is that the Rock one? Dwayne Johnson. It is. Vanessa goes every night.
Vanessa's seen that a few times, I think.
We know she's very excited for his big.
But you know, and I'm there thinking, and well, I'm wondering if you pass your stones live on air, like if we pretty much, you know, real life A&E, you know.
We have our own real life rocks.
Yeah, I got it. Can I talk briefly about kidney stones? They're not technically stones. They're like little shards of
calcium
glass. Like
not drinking enough water, John.
Yeah. But you know, once they're there, you know, there's not. You know, you can listen to people like you, Neil, and
you certainly really can. Help. You certainly can. Next week we'll talk about the French New Wave and German Impressionist genres.
Well,
what's it feel like, John?
Oh,
on a scale of 1 to how bad is it? This is Joe Duffy talking. How bad is it?
It's like Joe. It's like somebody repeatedly kicking you in the family jewels.
In the nads. Oh God!
So there's just sorry to younger view, a kind of testicular numbness.
Oh.
That
you're feeling the bottom of your stomach.
There's Mickey. He couldn't feel his Mickey.
It's a gentle thud. But
you're lucky, Vanessa. You never got a kick in the nads.
But if you do research about it, you find out that like what's basically happening with the stones, the sharpened rocks are basically are cutting your bladder and your uteral passage as it's going making its way. So
is it a bit man fluey though, John? I've never had them. Is it a bit man fluey?
I wouldn't say that now. I'd be careful there, Neil.
I think it's
very
almost,
painful process, Neil.
I think it's
I
almost
have
as
to add
bad
it
as man
myself,
flu.
but I know I got one.
I think it is almost as bad as man flu. Although people online, women who have gone through natural childbirth say this natural childbirth was a doddle compared to a stone. One stone. I passed a few stones in the last week.
You've lost a few stones, Don. You look fucking.
Well, it's very
Are you
difficult
not keeping them for us, John?
You've got to keep fluids.
If you put them under your pillow, there's the kidney stone fairy.
Well, I don't mean a quartz crystal, but anyway, so it's a pretty painful process. But there's nothing they can do. You know, there's no remedy other than
Laser them or something.
I beg your pardon?
Gun them or something. Do you know?
Oh, yeah, but yeah, no. That's going places. It'll come out. They'll come out. So anyway, what happened, Bodger, yesterday? Did we want to talk about Bodger? No.
Well, you tell us, John.
Well,
I seem to have missed it all. So tell us what happened.
well, as well as comforting myself, I've been comforting Bodger, who finally had enough of, being individually targeted for really, really incessant trolling, so he kind of just he did a red line number on it and said he wasn't going to put up with it anymore. I can't really blame him. I mean, the guy is like,
Roger.
genuine, gentle fella, not getting paid. is purely there for your entertainment. It gets no ego gratification out of it whatsoever. It's a harrowing Zen mastery.
Vocation. Vocation.
Yeah, it's a calling. It's a calling, but that calling.
No holiday. It's no vacation. It's a vocation.
I think with Bodger it was basically that the spin unit, who are effectively the people who were in the freight room a few years ago. Do you remember the Finnegan freight room? They've grown up now. They're all grown up and they've got their bit. They've got money and they're kind of running the country. So the spin on Leo's visit to Washington, the spin over the last week, I think just got to Bodger and he literally.
Do you know, I tried ringing Leo. Remember last week we were saying about ringing Leo? I tried ringing him. Ask him, would you bring me back some duty free?
Okay. Anyway, so Neil, no more movies then for the.
No, we're done for the next 7 days.
We're done for the week. Johnny, you sent me a poster today for the One Love vibe.
That was 10 years ago, John.
Got the email today.
Right. No, but I sent it to you for the reason of it was 10 years ago. Yeah. We had the original One Love concert in Offaly. It was an awfully good vibration. We had Oxfam on board. Did a lot of work for Oxfam 10 years ago. So I'm looking for them to get involved this year on a bigger scale. And they might bring a little bit more to the table than I brought 10 years ago. Because that's basically the ethos of what it's all about. I was actually going through the press release, what I'd written then. And I could have written it yesterday. Yeah. We want to deal with alienation, the suicide epidemic that it was 10 years ago. And Offaly, in my research back then, had the highest rate of suicide per capita in 2008. I think it's Limerick at the moment, but it's not unique to any place in Ireland, as we all know. So the issues of coming together, peace, love, and understanding, respect, and having a barbecue for Oxfam was the whole bones of it last year, and it was a massive success, and we want to do it again this year. So at the moment, I'm looking at venues in Offaly because it has to come back to Offaly, and I kind of hopefully run parallel with the Ballykeefe gig that we were trying to run last year. But I'm big into anniversaries, and the 10th anniversary of our Offaly Good Vibration was based on the back of Bob Marley's One Love concert in Kingston, Jamaica, in 22nd of April, 1978. Bono tried to emulate it with John Hume and David Trimble in 1998 on the back of the Good Friday Agreement.
Yeah.
When Marley brings the two fighting parties together, and actually Marley was shot the night before, and he still went ahead with the concert. So it really is a special understanding about how one man made such a big effort to bring peace and love to a stadium in Kingston, Jamaica. So with that in mind, John, we could do that for all the maybe 500,000, and I'd say there's probably more, that have no interest in seeing the Pope, that just see it as just a one big hoax, white smoke, what black smoke, what have you got, and just come to where people just don't judge you on your religion, and just take little bits of it. Just everyone, peace, love, harmony, and music.
Yeah,
that's what it's about 10 years ago, and I'm giving myself a good run at this year, John. So I really can't do it myself. I'm just putting the idea out, and I think if better organizers come together, I'm just saying I've done it already. I know how to do it. I just need help. If people want to have a big gig, it can be done.
No problem, Johnny. That's great. That's fantastic.
Thanks for the plug, man.
Not at all. The Pope's visit. Neil, are you excited about the Pope coming to Ireland?
Hello?
Vanessa, are you excited about the Pope coming to Ireland?
Oh, sorry. Jesus had interfered with my microphone.
Sorry, do you want Neil to go or?
Well, now that Neil's there, yeah.
I'm very excited for the Pope's visit. I think it's great that he's coming back to the Phoenix Park to say a bit of a mass, and he can help clarify for us all how we should feel about abortion and the family unit and divorce and all of those things. It's very important for us as a nation to do that.
I think Neil might be taking the piss now. Vanessa, were we all there the first time? Were you there in 79?
I was.
Limerick. I went to the race course in Limerick. We all had to go. I don't know who organised it, but everyone had to get in a bus and at 4 a.m. and get down. I think I was in first year at the time, 1979. Jesus Christ.
And will you go this year?
Yeah. No. No.
Will you go?
No interest. Absolutely none.
Would you not go for the curiosity?
Absolutely no interest. And I'd like to what's he doing here?
Well, he's going to the World Families Congress.
Which is?
I have no idea, but it's a
family. It's a family affair.
It's a Congress of families of.
Yeah, but what's their definition of family?
It's a man and a woman married together with children.
And whereas the UN would tell you it's
like today, for instance, he was meeting families to announce the World Families Congress, and those families were all of mother, father, mother. There was no what they would say new blended families or anything like that. There was no LGBT or anything of that.
Well,
that nature.
In 1994, I did a year with the UN division, and it was to promote the year of the family. And the ethos, the line was that family is 2 or more people looking after each other. So family could be anybody. It could be a community. It could be a group of neighbours. It could.
Not from the Vatican's perspective.
People. And that was 1994. So, like, if he's here to promote, and he's looking. Did I see they were looking for 20 million? He's looking to promote Mommy, Daddy, and the 2.4 kids. Well, that is not the definition of family. And you, John, you use the word blend, and that's the reason we're getting or more into that blended definition now. Anyway.
Yeah.
No interest in hearing what the man has to say.
You think he's having a bad year, or at least the church is not having a great year at the moment, particularly with them. I mean, you upset person something like McAleese. I don't know. I have to say, why on earth is she in the Catholic Church?
She's very devout. She's very devout.
Yeah, it does suit her. So
it suited her for a while, and now now that this thing, you know, and I'm sorry to hear about her brother, but I mean, if she knew about her brother while she was throwing a hair, well, that was the time to kind of speak up.
She only knew 3 weeks ago, Vanessa.
Yeah, she'd only found out pretty recently.
Yeah, I know. I'm not going to argue that, but
okay, and
you
then
know,
she's very silent about her husband's role in the Magdalene Laundry's whitewash.
Oh yeah.
The McAleese
Ryan
report
report,
really
yeah.
ranks as one of the poorest of the last 10, 15 years in Ireland. It's kind of a disgrace, and the women are dying off because the whole thing has stymied any decent redress for them.
I thought it was interesting that she came out on International Women's Day to make a big deal why women aren't allowed into the church. I thought, like, you know, that was kind of almost hijacking International Women's Day from her perspective. I think the Catholic Church, John, has survived centuries. They're not Egypts. They're very, very clever people, the people that run it. Because if we're going to analyze it like adults, and I think we all are adults here, they're literally buying into fantasy. Because you don't need Stephen Hawkins to be alive, and he's missed already, to say this is the biggest scam. I'm not quoting George Carlin or Bill Hicks, but I made my mind up about the Catholic Church. If I can't see it, it doesn't really exist. That's why I didn't see Bob Marley, but I know he played in Dublin. I know he lived it. So he's the nearest thing to someone. For me personally, if you have to follow some kind of spiritual guru or whatever, it's believable that someone existed that did good. Now, there's two things about the Vatican. They owe redress. And as you say, you made the point in Magdalene Laundry. It's a tactic, it's a stalling tactic. These people will die. Therefore, it's all about money. It is all about money. That these guys are coming over. One of the dragons is going around. Give us a few bob there for the Pope to come. No. If you had a leader, he should have said, listen, you signed up for this Vatican redress. You said you're going to pay these guys who have been victims, and the one could say victims, they're not victims, they're survivors of clerical abuse. Now that's been done. That's been done and dusted. Now, is it like the Moriarty Tribunal again? Elaine Byrne put up a post today. 7 years today, the Moriarty Tribunal findings was that O'Brien and Lowry were corrupt. Okay, there's nothing been done about it since. And this is the way the government and the Catholic Church operates. Sweep it underneath the carpet. They forget about it. And the people that want to go and see the Pope, if they do want to go see the Pope, they're looking for forgiveness for something.
Just on that, they can't make findings like that. You know, they don't make findings like that. It's a bit more subtle. Just to be on the safe side legally here.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll get the proper wording before the end of the show. Don't worry. Sue, grab it and run. Whoever you are, you guys out there. Sorry, go on, Johnny. In relation to the findings of that was just the findings, but none of them has been contested in relation to they've sued many different organizations since, but they haven't addressed the findings of that. But the point I'm making on it is that of today, it's a tactic. It's a tactic, John, that people will forget. And the people that really want to go and visit this guy, this Pope, I don't care how nice he is, it's what he represents, okay? These guys said that they're going to pay and they're going to change the church. They're not going to change it. They haven't changed it for centuries. They're not going to change it in our lifetime. So the only thing we can do is become close to a circular state. And that's where people are getting their heads at. But the Vatican know this, and they're going, we're losing the big one here, guys. We got to send in the big troops, making a big deal, and making it as inclusive as possible. It's the most exclusive club. It's always been, and it always will be. And people are hypocrites, John, if they believe that going to see this guy in the Central Park or the Phoenix Park is going to make them feel good. It's going to wash away the guilt that they have. That's what it's going to do. Nothing else. It's a charade, it's bullshit, it's a waste of time, it's a waste of money. And as I say, secular society, let's have that conversation, because we're not going to have it in RTE, because the Catholic Church, they own us. They own everything in this country. And they don't own me. So I'm giving my opinion on it. I'm finished.
Does that mean you won't be going, Johnny?
Nobody owes Johnny anything.
Sorry, is he in Phoenix Park or Croke Park?
Phoenix.
Both. It's
just Phoenix Park
for the real Catholics.
It's just Phoenix Park.
Remember they are.
There's something in Croke Park though as well. The World Families thing. One of their things.
John, will you be coming back to see the Papa?
Yeah, I'll definitely come back and.
Do you reckon we could get the Pope on the panel maybe when he's in town?
Get Martin. Martin, I remember him crying in relation to the Murphy and Ryan report and saying he was going to deal with it so much. Get him on and tell us how he's going to deal with that. Because there is actually a lot of protests going on, and they're facilitating that as well, I think, the weekend of it or before in the Hilton Hotel. So if you have a grievance, you know, if you're homeless or you're living in a hotel with 4 kids, the Pontiff wants to listen to you. He cares. He wants to know how he can look good on camera for 2 minutes while you shuffle all back to your square box, and he's gone somewhere else to ignore.
Yeah,
something about canon law. Sorry, Neil.
No, I think on that though, Johnny, Pope Francis does seem to go a little bit more than the previous popes did with issues like homeless and all the rest. Like he kind of took that thing about not flaunting the wealth a little bit more serious than the other popes did. He did move into the palace or whatever that he was supposed to move into. So I think he makes that little bit much more effort than we'd seen from previous posts. Not justifying, everything else.
Platitudes, Neil. That's PR. That's pure PR. What I want to know.
He was always doing that, though. He always did that before he was Pope as well.
He's head of an evil organization, so he's the best PR they have.
I think
it's their job to make him look good. All I want to know is, are they going to pay the victims of clerical abuse, the survivors of clerical abuse, like they said they would? And I think that's a fair question that every journalist should be asking the Taoiseach, to ask him, here, listen, man, I'm getting a bit of shit here. People want to know, are you going to give that money? It's kind of like, if a guy owed me money, I'd ring him 3 times, and then I'd say, listen, man, I really need it.
I know.
I get some kind of answer.
Even the money that they've committed is paltry and very, very dodgy. It was signed under very dodgy circumstances. I would regard as probably not legal. In fact,
so the survivors should just forget about it.
In fact, McDougall has mentioned that could be the possibility too.
I beg your pardon?
Should they just give up on it then, the survivors?
Well, it was done at the last day of the 2002 Bertie government. Michael Woods, extremely Catholic, Fianna Fáil minister, signed off on this indemnity deal that will save the church billions, frankly.
Yeah,
and, because they and their reasoning was this: the church don't have $1 billion, because it was going to be $1 billion. They were reckoning back then, but it's more than that. It's like over $2 billion now. And they said the church doesn't have $1 billion in 2002. So, you're right, Johnny. I mean, they're just duplicitous. They can't be trusted, and I think that the property needs to be seized from them, frankly.
But I think just grind them down, in relation to everyone knowing each other's business in this country, especially from a media perspective. Just grind them down. Just keep asking that question. Just focus on that one thing. One thing. Don't let it get about the kids and the family and how upset the gays are, and they've every right to be upset because if they're Catholic and they're being discriminated again within the religion that they believe in. And Mary McAleese, she's obviously got grievances. She wants to make her church better. But in relation to someone like me who grew up a Catholic and seen it, I don't get it. It's BS. So just all I want to know now is, dude, you said you were going to give us the money or give the money to the people who need it for clerical abuse. When are you giving it? Sorry, what was that? No, when are you giving it?
Yeah,
no, sorry.
Right.
Keep asking them. Just keep asking them.
Could I just say hello to the mosh pit, everybody in the mosh pit, just a crowd surfing. Guy called 40 Balls, Janet, Mary Duffy, Janet.
Where do you see them? Where are they?
Fantastic. Sorry.
Who's there?
Neil?
Where is it?
Neil?
Yeah.
Are you with us?
I'm here, yeah. I was looking in the chat bit, actually.
You've nothing to add to the papal bull we've been...
No, there's nothing that I can say that's going to wind anyone up or give a different view. So bring it on.
Well,
we'll bring some sandwiches and go out to the Phoenix Park.
Just on Johnny there, and you too, John. I think we need to stop calling it the Catholic Church and the church. Let's just call it a global business.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is.
Yeah.
And just then look at how they manage their operations in different geo positions in different locations in different countries. And
here's the
figure
thing.
out a way to make them pay the compensation rather than using corporate. They're using, you know, the fairy in the sky, the faith thing, and Holy Mary and the prayers and all this as their defense. But in actual fact, I don't.
Sapona said that we kind of, you know, the expense of doing the surveying of that land. They're complaining about the expense. Why on earth are we paying for this to unearth their dirty work?
If it was Facebook that flooded the land, if it was Facebook, let's say, that did damage to their keys, or if it was a pharmaceutical company that released chemicals into the you know, the water, or did the harbour, or, you know, let out steam that was toxic or something, they would be sued. They'd find the money to conduct the research and the surveys they needed then to make a legal case. So why is this crowd any different?
But like, it's like the Moriarty thing again in relation to people's findings, good, bad, or indifferent. They don't seem to mind. So there's been abuse. So the only thing you can come to conclusion today, and I've been thinking about this all day, that these guys are chancers, and they're charlatans, and they're very, very smart, intelligent people, because it takes a very smart, clever person to be able to lie the whole time.
They're Jesuits.
They hold it up, man. They're very good at their job. So we're the saddos, the people who allow this to happen, and this is my frustration, because I can't get a point of view about this. Is this not bizarre?
Yeah, but Johnny, you've got people like Michael Woods who will put Rome ahead of Dublin, Rome ahead of Irish people, you know. And we've had that for years.
See,
those kind of people.
That's the thing. Let's stop calling it, you know, let's start treating it as some sort of special place.
You know, the danger is ridiculing.
And it's pretty and it's open.
I would never ridicule people who believe.
Sorry?
It's but
it's run like a business.
Yeah, I know.
It is run like a business.
I know, but
it's, you know,
telling the
their mission, their product, their teaching, you know, their mission is their mission. Yeah. But let's treat them like a business. Not mocking their shareholders.
Well, they've got tax-free status. They're a religion, so it can't be treated like a proper business.
Red Cross is a global enterprise, and
it's a charity, though. You know, there's a difference here. Like, that's why Scientology can make build all these buildings, because they don't pay any tax in America, and they just, everything is gravy for them. You know?
Yeah, well, you're getting into the business side of it there. Like,
why can't we treat the Catholic Church like that?
Yeah,
it's business.
You have to understand the symptom before you can fix the problem, and the symptom is that you've got people. And you said it there, John, and I used to think like that. But if fair play to someone who has got strength of faith and has that belief, and I know I said that now after really respecting all my life, I say bollocks. If you have that amount of faith, I'm a non-believer. Give me that faith. If it's that believable, make me believe. That's what I say. Don't give me this fictional and have it hanging over me that I'm a non-believer, and therefore your moral compass is a lot more closer to righteousness than mine. Because that's the way Irish Catholics essentially look at us, if we're going to be honest about it. And I don't mean that they're malicious like that. They're God-fearing. They just don't have enough belief in their own beliefs. And imagine, and we're only coming from one generation where Catholicism was literally bet into you. You know, if you didn't believe, you were gone. You were ostracized, lambasted. Like, so whether you believe it or not, you had to be God-fearing about it. So the shekels are off now, and still people think that they have to say they're Catholic in order to get little Johnny and Mary into the right schools.
Well,
that's
room here. You don't have to bring them up.
No, but Neil made his point very clear with an ounce of cynicism, and he said, "That's what I have to do. That's what I have to do." But at least he said it. Yeah. There's other people that won't even, like, as I say, I'm not the problem here. If I go to the doctor and say, "Listen, he's in my head again, man. He's telling me to go around and really embrace myself and help everybody." Who? Bob? No. But God is grand. No, let's develop that. There's a problem with depression, alienation in this country. There's counsellors coming up like that. I think you can get it online. You can become a counsellor. So the most vulnerable people are people that are depressed and alone and alienated and confused.
Yeah.
And that's ripe. That's ripe pickings for any religion. But I can just see, I can just hear, I can just know that there's an awful lot of people within the Catholic Church. Let's talk about that religion because that's the main one in this country. That see people that have problems with faith and see them as lost sheep, and their job is to find them, to bring them back to the flock. That's sinister. That's very sinister. Those organizations are getting well funded in this country. So the Catholics are being very much well looked after. It's safe. It's safe to be a Catholic in this country. And Neil, I'm not having a go because I've got friends like you that have exactly the same attitude towards it. But you gotta make the system work for the best you can get, and I accept that and I appreciate that. I'm talking about the people that just know that there's something wrong here. I'm talking about the people in control that aren't religious either, but don't want to shake the boat. So it's a very scary situation that we are scared of nothing.
Yeah, and it goes really deep. I was brought up in Monkstown, and it was a Protestant town effectively, but there was this convent in Mount Anville Convent there, and they sold the land for nothing, like 150,000 to. It was part of one of the tribunals. And there was an estate built there. And I have to be honest with you, I think the entire population of that estate was Catholic. It was like plantation, you know, and other areas around Monkstown, like Windsor and stuff, were just entirely, there was very few Protestants. And now looking back, it was obviously a mini plantation of people. The convent presumably sold the property on the basis that only Catholics would get houses into these places. So Monkstown was a very liberal. Monkstown would have always voted sort of the highest in the divorce referendum, the highest in abortion referendums and what have you. And there was a point I was trying to make.
You're just showing off that you're from Monkstown.
No. Oh yeah, no. A lot of families, because
go to Wales.
No, I wasn't. A lot of these, they were country people, just up from the country, and I think they found my family very exotic, and I wouldn't be allowed into their houses now. For many of their houses, on that basis, on that kind of weird religious sort of. Who are these people, you know, suspicion and, you know, wariness. And it's only now that I would occasionally meet the mothers now, and they're very apologetic and kind of half confused about that time. So there you go.
It is strange times. It is like when you break it down again, and apologize if I'm taking over this, but I do really, it baffles me that people can have so much strength on something that literally doesn't exist until it can be proven that there is a God up in the clouds and all that. You really don't. You can't bring that kind of ideology into a normal day-to-day
because it was
like work and
education. A lot of it was around fear. They were kind of.
It was fear. Yeah, John, you're absolutely right. It was fear, absolute fear. And, you know, we come from a generation there, it was absolute fear. You could not miss Mass, you could not miss Good Friday, you could not. But, you know, at the same time now, having evolved, well, evolved is probably not a nice thing to say, but there is something admirable about people of faith, that they have this comfort and they have this part of their lives. But, you know, if you look about the hospitals and they're not paying in the abuse cases and not paying their fair share for the compensation, and being very slow to admit any wrongdoing in God knows how many different cases of institutional abuse. from that point of view, we have to treat them like a business. There's no doubt about it. We cannot be sympathetic for this that they must away.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
we have to be that way. And I do, as I say, I don't want to mock people of faith because I admire it. Unfortunately, I'm not one of them. I'm going to hell anywhere, wherever I'm going. You know what I mean?
I've got faith, Vanessa.
the Irish
passed on, and friends have passed on. I do actually think that I might see them again in some kind of utopian kind of place. But I don't believe in a God. So that's my faith. So, is my faith as good as everyone else's? Because I actually do think that I might see other people that went before me.
Yeah.
Is that on the face armor, or is it?
Well, no, I think it's more than that. Like, the prayer and meditation is very effective for a lot of people, and whether
this tends to be the problem with these conversations is that Vanessa is what Vanessa's saying. I completely agree with about separating church from faith. The church as a business, because if you take McAleese, who we don't have to have the same perspective or view as she has, but I can imagine how frustrating and challenging that is for someone who's as devout as her to reconcile with the body that represents her faith. And I find that conversations like this then kind of go down that road of the lunatics who believe in God and all the rest. And I don't think that's the right approach, because it doesn't really address head on that there's a problem with this institution globally that has caused so much harm to children, to the vulnerable, and continues to wreak havoc. And no mass in the Phoenix Park is going to rectify or reconcile that in any way, shape or form. But at no point should we pass blame or take exception with people's faith who do choose to.
Vanessa, is there any what are they saying in the mosh pit? Would you go crowd surfing, please?
Talk to me, John.
Vanessa.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't hear your thing. What are they saying? They want to know if somebody's looking after you, John. Well, you're not well.
Oh God.
Somebody else in there has offered to look after your Mickey.
Filter, Vanessa, filter.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the.
I haven't got my reading glasses on. Oh yeah, somebody wants to know what this is. Yeah.
What?
Glittery Holy Mary.
There was a rumor going around.
Oh, do you know, actually, you can put money in there. So, I know what you're going to say. Yeah, but that's what that is.
Well, that's a fantastic mosh pit presentation, Vanessa. We'll come back to you the mosh pit in a few minutes, say.
Okay. Oh no, look, they're coming in with more questions. We'll dip in again. But I think they're enjoying it this evening. Anyway, there's some new faces in Mosh, and some new faces in there.
Your mic is kind of breaking up. I'm going to do put up the papers now.
Yeah, I read that in there as well. I didn't know there was something wrong.
Okay.
My producer isn't producing me.
Well,
I can't fix your internet.
Is it the mic or the internet? The internet.
Don't be blaming the Pope for your crisis in faith.
Can we just go back to the spin unit for a second? You've got it's a 5 minute unit. It's been set up by Leo Varadkar. The Dáil have just voted to abolish it. I understand that he won't abolish it. So
no,
what happens next?
It's seconded into. It'll be merged into another department. Every year when they form a government, they create all these new departments. Environment gets added.
Do you think there'll be a standoff now?
No, it'll just get put into the Department of Antishik. So it'll be created as its own little. It'll get rebranded. It won't be called the Strategic Communications Unit. And it'll form part of a budget of another department. It could be the Department of Communications. It could be the Department of Antishik, whichever. Public Works. What is that? The OPW, the Office of Public Works. It could go in there.
Neil, do you reckon Leo will abolish it?
It depends. Well, I think he'll bow to the pressure But he'll come up with some kind of spin of the spin, some spin about the spin as to what it's evolving or changing into.
Could we say we're not God fearing that we have 20 forms of media now that we can actually know what's going on, and you actually did say it yourself, you dug your own hole. So is that not the process of an application of no fate? Can Fianna Fáil not bring that, or are they just going to go on with this charade forever? Like,
well, that's what I was asking Vanessa, but she didn't. She claims to have Fianna Fáil inside knowledge, and it seems to desert her whenever I ask her
about Fianna Fáil.
She suddenly says,
"Oh dear, John, I don't tell you inside her knowledge. I have some friends Fianna Fáil, and they know about as much as I do. That's the truth.
They know less than I know."
What's the Vatican telling Fianna Fáil to do this week?
Well, then, John, why don't you tell us what's happening? So, if you know more than you said that I'm supposed to have an insider track, and you've just said you know more. So you tell us.
Well, yeah, but why do I know more than your Fianna Fáil insiders? Have they been kicked out of the party?
Jesus Christ! I'm sure. What do you know?
Why am I in the dark so much?
You said they were quite prominent.
Well, one would be quite prominent, yeah.
Okay? Well, what did they say about this spin unit? Is it an election issue? Like, is it? Will they pull down this because of it?
No, and there's no talk of what will be an election issue. It's when, and the pressure is off at the moment. They can't see it in the next 2 to 3 months, but. I tell you what I think will be an election issue is well, you're getting frustrated now. I tell you what I think might be an election issue or a leadership issue is Micheál Martin meeting Misty and Paul Williams. I think that'll trigger a furore. I think that's a far bigger issue than this, most things. And I think the Keneally cover-up and the fact that they haven't gone to, what's it called, commission, a hearing. I think that's a Fianna Fáil thing. I think that I'm only guessing here, so I mean, feel free to contradict.
Well,
but I think the fact that hasn't gone ahead. Sorry?
The beauty of inside contacts are it's kind of like it limits the guesswork, I guess. You know. But
well, you see, my Fianna Fáil connections are very and I've told you this before, because one of them, Suzanne, was never a member of Fianna Fáil, never, but she was co-opted by Sean inside the party.
Okay. I had an impression of your contacts being top level. And now,
you mean Micheál Martin level, like
Charlie High, Bertie Ahern.
I thought they were in the inside circle, Vanessa.
No, I never said that. And I told you before, and I told you more than once, they are outside the tent, Fianna Fáilers.
Yeah, but,
and I know I did, John.
I know, but there must be some knowledge of what's going on inside the tent. They can't be completely around the...
No, but they don't even talk to each other.
This is ridiculous. What are you doing?
I was at a breakfast. I was at a breakfast before Christmas. I honestly was at a Fianna Fáil breakfast thing, and you could tell where there's a whole group of different groups of FFers that just will not even look at each other.
Yeah. And then
I think if Bodger was here now, Bodger would be saying that Vanessa is potentially going to be on the ticket when the GE is called. As she's been so...
Yeah.
She's played the cards close to her chest. If Bodger was here, that's what he'd be saying.
If Bodger was in better form, he would be here and saying such.
Vote one, Vanessa.
No.
If he hadn't had such a tough
I love that.
few days himself, I mean... But there you go. There you go. We're only as good as this as our sources. I'm very sorry. We're usually first with the news.
You're very, very patient.
You'll have to go elsewhere.
The Independent, perhaps, the Irish Times.
Jesus Christ. Do you know what? You'd never talk to Brendan Ogle like that.
Brendan Ogle's
come on now.
You wouldn't talk to Derek Mooney like that either, John.
Well, they were guests in the house.
So what do you mean?
Well, you live in the house. You're there. Like we're supposed to be on our best behavior for them.
All right. I'll clean the skirting board so next time we someone nice in.
I haven't really had a civil word from Derek since that bloody night. So he's not happy with me either. So if you think I won any favors from him that night, I didn't. You can never win in the situation.
Sure, nobody was looking to win. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't
Vanessa, every day is a GAA game for you. It's like
Jesus Christ.
Pucks up and everything slithers everywhere.
Well, I tell you, I'm a marked man, big time. Jesus, I can't come in here and I'm picked on. From the moment I get on, I come in and go, I tell you, I am the marked man on this side, on this show. No doubt about it. So stop cribbing about Fianna Fáil. I've absolutely no intention of running for public office, but what I would love is if I was given a freebie, nomination into the Senate.
Yeah, would you take one of them?
Oh, Jesus, I'd love it. Love it.
Well, you wouldn't be able to do the show, though, would you, if you're in the Senate?
Why wouldn't I? Why not?
Well, we'd know who you're talking about when you're talking about your inside sources. Then, would you be allowed? Would you be banned from coming on the show if you were?
No, you'd be like the Mary Louise Kenny of Broadsheet on the telly.
Mary Louise. What's the name? Mary Louise. Oh God, the girl. Yeah.
She's very enthusiastic about things, Vanessa.
I'd love it though. You'd have to call me senator then.
You'd absolutely love that. I'm just going to do the paper. So, no, Neil will tell you he has an event to plug this week, so he's going to just fill us all in on that.
Oh, well spotted, John. I do. Next Thursday, when I should be on the telly, I'm not going to be here next Thursday, quite sadly, because I'm doing a show in Smock Alley next Thursday. In collaboration with a theatre company called No Drama Theatre, I'm taking my Neil Plus One show and doing some improv in Smock Alley alongside another great group called Bill and Bob. So it's Smock Alley at 8 o'clock next Thursday, just before the bank holiday. John had no idea I was doing a show. He just wanted to buy time to put up the papers.
Is that an annual thing, Neil? Was it last year?
Easter, yeah, we had Easter last year as well, John.
Yeah.
Do you want to throw control over to me, John, and I'll put up the papers?
Yeah, I'll do that now for you. There was
So who's not sending in the paper this week, John?
Well, here's the ones we don't get. We don't get the Irish Independent, obviously. We don't get the Irish Times, although we used to get the Irish Times. And a guy called Danny Dudek was a nice guy. I don't know, I think he must have left or something in the paper. But we all know there's some really, really nice people there. The Irish Times.
So
no. So you got we don't get the Herald or any of those, any of the independent titles. We've got to beg for the
but the Examiner.
The Examiner we always get, and they're always.
But now that they have new owners.
The Times Ireland edition is always on time, and.
But here's the thing: do they know you've got Broadsheet has like over 34, 31? How many Twitter followers have you got? Like, and it's their sheet is going into those timelines.
Yeah, but that has been the case for years and years and years, but that you think that people couldn't be this petty? You haven't met Irish journalists. You haven't met these Irish journalists. They're just like so.
Well, I happen to know one now at the moment, and he has It's a tendency to be a bit moody, all right.
I was talking about the ones still in print.
Speaking of journalists, who knows that?
But you would think, yeah, you'd think they'd send the cover, wouldn't you? I mean, and there's no comment on. We're not kind of looking at the cover. You would think, wouldn't you?
But sure, why would they not want their masthead in how many anyway?
Vanessa, your line is kind of a bit funny there.
Sorry, where did I finish up, or
just
am I just not making any sense this evening?
Oh, you are. No, you are.
It's just sometimes it's a bit,
Connection's a bit crappy.
It's a bit truncated.
Laggy.
Yeah, a bit laggy.
Is it my connection or is it?
I don't know. I think it's laggy. It's the only word I can use. Drunk, is another word I use.
Not all the time, Vanessa.
I'm joking, Vanessa.
Fairly, sometimes. No, but mostly we can hear I'd say 95% of what you're saying.
No,
okay.
Fine. What it's doing, it's dragging your voice out, making your voice sound slower. So it sounds like you're dragging out your words. It sounds like you're slurring your words, but you're not, of course. But you sound great.
Okay, can I talk about Miss Nixon behind me, please? Does have anyone seen the picture there? Was anyone recognize this lady, Cynthia Nixon?
Is it Avril Power?
No.
Sex and the
You have
City?
a bit of a thing for Avril Power, have you, John?
I do not, actually. I don't.
I named a kidney stone after her, but nothing more serious than that.
What's called an Irishman with 10 kids?
No, what do you call an Irishman with 10 kids?
Mickey Power.
Okay, Vanessa.
What?
Cynthia Nixon in Sex and the City.
Cynthia Nixon, Sex and the City. Yeah.
And you wonder why they don't send newspapers into
it. Cynthia Nixon has actually declared her candidacy for the Democratic ticket. She's going to challenge the incumbent for the governor of New York, the Democratic, which is Cuomo at the moment. And Cuomo's aiming for a third term, and his dad actually was a 3-term governor as well. So I suppose it's fair to call it the family business with this family. Be Democratic governor of New York, and people will know her as Miranda Hobbs from Sex and the City, is challenging the incumbent.
Yeah.
And I wish her the best. I know, Democrats, I suppose party politics in America is.
You're kind of breaking up again, Vanessa.
Party politics in America has kind of been through, in the last maybe 18 months, has been through a hell of a lot. But this candidate here, Cynthia Nixon, I wish her the best. She's doing it on her own. Your man Cuomo, I suppose it's a family business for, as I said, for him.
What's her Vanessa, Vanessa, you're going to have to turn on and off your computer because it's breaking up all the time now at this stage.
Okay.
Turn off and on. Thanks. Sorry. I think Cynthia Nixon, I'm not sure what her platform is. Johnny, were you familiar with?
I wasn't. No, sorry.
No. Neil? No. I think her platform is that her character was the least promiscuous on Sex and the City. I'm not sure if that's enough to get her elected, though. Johnny?
She was the red-haired one in Sex and the City.
The red-haired one, yeah. She kind of settled down.
She's a politician.
She wants to be the Democratic candidate for governor.
This is American politics, John. It started, with Reagan, the actor, then Arnie, and now this is going back to Leo's spin. This is exactly the way they operate as well. It's all about personalities. It's not about politics. Yeah. Politics is something that you sweep underneath the carpet and just keep putting. He came backwards, back from America, and now he's in Berlin, like nothing happened. And the more he continues to give that spin out, So I have no interest in talking about Sex and the City going for politics. I'm interested really in understanding the spin of Leo's politics. because it's very, very similar to what the way Americans operate. And once again,
I'm personally surprised.
I can't understand it.
I'm surprised at Cynthia Nixon. It's a real Samantha kind of move more than her. You'd expect. Okay. I'll just make my Sex and the City jokes. Nobody will laugh.
Yeah, okay.
You know way too much about Sex and the City.
Okay. We haven't got Vanessa back, but I'm just going to do the papers. Neil,
do we have the papers? I'm not seeing the papers.
No, if you just give me 1 second.
Oh, okay. Okay. So while you're doing that, I'm wondering if you guys deleted your Facebook account this week.
I tried to.
I wasn't too surprised, actually. If someone said, when you're not paying for the product, you are the product. So, what are they going to do? I put up a protest. In the Kenny, in his EU jocks there. I've got a hard-on for you, EU. And that was my profile picture for about a year. I just thought it was hilarious. So Facebook are going to tell me that, I'm putting up half-naked photos of in the Kenny. Where's the crime? Am I going to be dragged to the courts for this one?
For putting up half-naked pictures? No,
come on, he was wearing a pair of EU Speedos. And just the quote was, I've got a hard-on for EU. So I spent, Anyway, but you know what they're doing, which I find interesting? These data factories that they're building around the airport, which is kind of interesting as well. We're familiar with that, yeah?
The data farms, the server farms.
Yeah.
And they're being built in Ireland because it's conducive to the weather climate.
Yeah.
So that data is being harvested from all over the world, and that's not essentially Facebook. It's just some fella said to me, he knows a little bit more than what I'm saying. Says it could come to a stage that these guys will sell you back your data. It'll be an insurance thing. Is that futuristic? Or is that
it's not unreasonable, Johnny. You see, people think of your house being broken into, and you might have jewelry or a few quid stolen, and that's a very serious, invasive thing. But to have it's incomparable than to have somebody steal your data, your personal data, and abuse that. And that's a far more serious issue. I think the problem that we have is that most people don't give a shit because they don't really understand what it means. I mean, it's the adage of, well, I've nothing to hide, so it doesn't matter. But you wouldn't allow someone come in your house and take pictures of you in the shower or when you lie in bed with your partner. That data is worth a hell of a lot of money. A credit card number, and a stolen credit card number is worth just $1. I think it's $1 is the going rate online in the black market. But your personal details about yourself is worth a hell of a lot more. And identity fraud is something that has always been there. And this, but this was a company that allegedly, this company harvested this data through the consent of the user, abused it under the nose of Facebook, or so that's allegedly being claimed. But the plot is thickening. We're seeing a lot of things come out with the Data Protection Office now in Ireland, things that were raised a number of years ago. I think we're going to go down the rabbit hole with this one. But it's an interesting thing because there was that delete Facebook kind of movement. And Matt Cooper openly this week said that he had deleted his account on the back of it. Yeah. And I do think it's a very, it sounds sensationalist, but I do think it's a very, it's a very important question, very valid thing. This could, if there was enough momentum, it could, mark the end of this current era of social media, make way for the next. But it knocked billions off the Facebook share price.
And Zuckerberg had sold some shares a week ago or something for 40 million. I think it is the end for Facebook, frankly. I do. It'll be Bebo in a few years. I promise you that. I don't think Facebook.
Yeah, I don't think we're in conspiracy theory territory saying that, John. I think unless this is handled correctly, there is a risk. If people do kind of lift the head up and listen to what's actually happening, what has been harvested, how invasive it is, it should be a wake-up call to people to, not be clicking the buttons and playing the games online, and be conscious that you are a product.
I think another aspect that doesn't come out, though, is the Twitter feeds being manipulated by Twitter management to reflect their political views and opinions.
They just can't do it as well as the Russian bots. Sorry, Johnny, I keep interrupting you.
The fact is they can, and they do.
That's funny.
And they've an Irish operation. obviously fiddling around with manipulating actual tweet statistics is a nasty business, and they got caught in America. They're going to get caught here as well. But
that would be for me to stick up for a multinational corporate industry. But I find that Facebook and Twitter is amazing for just knowing where people stand. You know, I know guys that are running businesses through Facebook that would never happen like 10 years ago, and I go fair play to them. And the thing is, if it could be changed, John, I could give it up handy enough, because I remember life without Facebook and that. So I think what would change is, or probably won't, because Facebook aren't going to charge people. It's not in their interest. But if there was a kind of mandatory, and then this could be where the government, if they were interested in protecting our data rights, or you put it up on the sheet, John. The Office of the Data Protection is in Port Harrington, is it, beside the Centra?
It's next door to.
It's next door to Centra.
Well, it's one of their offices. They have another. They have two, I think, now in Dublin.
Yeah, but if it was mandatory to have a Facebook account, you had to pay 10 quid. You don't want to pay 10 quid, man. I guarantee you. So that would be one way of sorting that thing out. But when people get something for free, they use it to abuse it. And then if it's and there's an awful lot of ego involved in this kind. I started off as a promoter, promoting stuff, and now I'm just kind of really interested in finding people that, not that I agree with, but I just want to see their opinion on stuff. And Twitter is great for that.
Isn't it funny that all the politicians and everybody jumped over backwards when Facebook came here, and all the fuzzball, and they're so cool, and Zuckerberg was here with his, you know, and they had the Dolorentos or something played up on the roof, and it was so hipstery, and now they're like one of the least admired companies in the world.
There you go.
They still wouldn't run them out, though.
No,
until they get
If Mark Zuckerberg came here tomorrow, he'd still get a meet and greet with Leo.
He'll get a bigger audience than the Pope as well.
Yeah, but as Neil said, like, you know, this thing, it surely has to run it's essentially a fad, no? You know, people get bored after a while, a few years. So, like, it doesn't seem to be running out of any steam, because people are innately so great that they have to show you everything, from their kids to what they eat to everything. And then there's the groups for enthusiasts. If you want to sell something, or if you're into vinyl, they're great. So you can spend most of your day just on Facebook, and you don't need to go to another social network site. So, and they've built that up from looking at the way every other website is. So it's the epicenter of the internet, really, Facebook. So how can it be stopped at this stage?
Well, Bebo was.
What come next? What should come next?
Johnny, Bebo was the center of the Irish internet 10 years ago. Like every
Justin Timberlake.
Every young person with a Bebo account. Like every.
Well, I didn't. I don't have a Facebook account nor a Bebo account.
I think it was
Vanessa, this is 10 years ago I'm talking about.
MySpace was big that time.
Yeah, but 10 years ago I was on the internet as well, John, and I didn't have a Bebo account, and I don't have a Facebook
it was for young
account.
Girls 10 years. I mean, it was like a young.
I was a young girl.
John, you bring up Bebo regularly as this kind of a nostalgic throwback. Are you very upset about the downfall of Bebo?
No, that's today gone tomorrow. That's exactly what happens to these. You know, you think, God, Bebo can never go. Everybody's on it, and then nobody's on it.
Facebook is a little bit more worldly.
Thank you, Johnny. I did know that. I was aware of that, but
sorry,
It's a mammoth fucking organization. Facebook and Twitter.
A good point from the chat pit.
Not too big to fail, Johnny. Believe me.
No, you're never too big to fail. Sorry, there's a good. They got bailed out. There was a good point there in the mosh pit. There it says Facebook killed more companies than they created, and I think that's worth thinking about.
Yeah,
well, it killed more businesses than it created, and I think he's right.
But
someone called 40 Balls.
Like Google ads and Facebook just hoover up all the ads, and RT. So it's RT, Google, and Facebook. And Google and Facebook don't pay tax, so they can just like.
And RT are subvented.
Yeah.
least RT don't harvest your data.
No, but that's the point. That this guy here, Forgeballs, is right on another level, because no business can compete with that type of assistance.
No, and that's why like TV3 have had to kind of juggle the books for years, you know. And
UTV Ireland didn't.
No, it's impossible. How can you compete? They can be as lazy as they like. They can be really unproductive. They still get the ads. I said it before. You know, you don't need somebody a tub of coconut oil, and you still get that sponsored, and you still get the, you know. And if the guy came out from around the camera and he just had to ring up the number at the end, you'd still get the same amount, almost the same amount. It doesn't matter. When Radio Ireland was launched, did I tell you this? I went to a bed and breakfast in Galway, and it was a Saturday morning. I said, I'd love to hear it's Radio Ireland, but the radio knob was so congealed and stuck on Radio 1 that literally you couldn't. It was like super glued. And that's just the way it is. And that's what they've had. And they're not used to it, you know, anything other than a monopoly. It applies for everything. RT Guide. They abuse their monopoly position. They always have. And now they're looking for our sympathy. Well,
I wouldn't use the word abuse, John. I would use the word they took it for granted. They never learned how to compete in a marketplace. And so they react rather than compete.
Yeah, well, they don't know how to compete. They really don't. You know, I mean, they don't know how to. They don't believe in a level playing field. So.
No, but they never had one because they were set up there for nothing. They've no setup. They had no setup costs. They've had no investment. They were given this prime site and all that infrastructure for free. For free, but then so were ESB, you know. So were Bus Air and so was Irish Rail. They were set up for free.
Yeah, but wasn't the thing that I suppose it was the devil era of its time, but no one was coming into Ireland, so they had to be set up from within. No.
Okay. Well,
Well, I think RT was probably set up to sell the message what Devil Era wanted the people to know. It's probably why there was a strong religious influence in RT for a long time.
Absolutely. That's never talked about. They used to have the corridors fairly well up and down. With,
the Bridget's Cross and...
Johnny, sorry, Neil, the papers have just gone up now, so... I should be...
Have you got the echo?
We don't get the echo. No, we don't get the echo. We do get the Examiner, but we don't get the echo.
But you won't get the echo till around 4 o'clock tomorrow.
Well, yeah.
What about the Midland Tribune? But you don't have that either.
Well, we used to get those as well, the Irish local papers, but they stopped them. I don't know why. I mean, it's free publicity or free advertising, but maybe they don't have broadband down there. So bankers face pay penalty over trackers. This is, I think Jerry Masdeen from the permanent TSB was in the PAC today, and he said, we don't do debt forgiveness. He was being asked by John McGuinness, why are they allowing the vulture funds
They do debt forgiveness, absolutely.
He told the Public Accounts Committee, we don't do debt forgiveness. And McGuinness asked him, why are they allowing the vulture funds to do that then, to structure their own loans? And he says, we don't do debt forgiveness. We don't do debt forgiveness. That was his mantra.
Yeah, but they'll all say that. They'll all say that, but they do. You know, they don't want to go out there that they're writing off debt or they're writing down debt. They'll write down debt on property outside Dublin or property that's in, you know, flooded or pyrite and stuff like that. Well, granted, you're not going to get write-downs in Dublin, but, you know, if you've got the 6-bedroom, half-finished bungalow in West Galway, you can be sure that's well written down. You know?
Okay. In relation to PR, and it is kind of, you know, covering yourself now with the likes of all these banks that are being brought in and asked serious questions by the Public Accounts Committee. Like, from a PR perspective, that guy that was brought in, and I'm not making any aspirations at all, and I'm not racist or anything like that, but he had an English accent, and he's trying to speak the there's no comeback for him. So the English accent makes it feel like, oh fuck it, the Brits are at us again. I just thought it was a bad PR move.
Well, you see,
is that fair point to say?
Yeah, no, I don't think it was his Cockney.
It doesn't come across well. I get that, but here's the thing with PTSB, right? I don't. It's clear the reason why they're selling these loans is not understood by the people that are asking the questions. That's absolutely for sure.
Okay, but
and the fact that some of the mortgages are split is a huge problem. Or actually, I'm led to believe now that most of the mortgages being bundled off are split mortgages. So they're screwed, those families.
okay,
absolutely.
you must state you must declare your interest in all this now, Vanessa.
Well, this is what I do for a living.
Yeah. So can you please just full disclosure and all that, please?
Full disclosure. I mean, people know I work in insolvency. I'm a licensed practitioner, like insolvency practitioner. I specialize in family home, principally in social housing and bankruptcy. Okay.
Great.
So, I mean, anyone can look at my website and know what my interests are.
Yeah, but they're not that interested maybe in you, perhaps, you know?
Okay.
So it just, maybe, to share your knowledge and what you do. They may not have watched last week's or the week before, Vanessa.
Okay, sorry, viewers. Sorry. I have a professional experience, and I'm not going to say expertise because I hate the word expert.
And you've a controversial view on the repossessions, to be fair now.
Look at the face of you. Look, deliberately waiting. No, I'm not biting, Jan. I'm not biting, Jan. But the thing, I've said it on the show before, and I said it more than once on other shows, is that PTSB were bailed out, and they did nothing to deal with their bad mortgages, their bad loan books, their operating practices, their internal back office functions. I mean, if their split mortgages are a problem, it's because they gave split mortgages out to many people. So their back office function needs to be looked at. They were bailed out to get themselves on their feet, and clearly they didn't. And they were actually given business. So again, nobody seems to have asked that question. Why didn't they get their act together? Bank of Ireland and AIB got their act together.
But why is this guy so cocky? I mean, this guy's like
the arrogance.
Because we don't do.
Because they go from. I said this on the show before, John. They go from. He's got the CEO gig now. He's never taken a step down. He's going to take a CEO gig somewhere else to somewhere else to somewhere else to somewhere else. He's not going to be there more than 3, 4, 5 years. This isn't an era where people go into a job and they stay for 30, 40 years. How long was Fingleton in?
30 years. 30
years. This guy's going to stay there 2, 3, 4 years. And then he's off to the next gig, to the next bank. It's all about, he's now CEO level, so he's only ever going to be CEO somewhere else.
I think they've decided, though, I think the bankers generally, they know that they're despised and loathed by any sentient human being.
They're like senior public servants, John. They don't give a shit. When you're paid $250,000 plus a year, quite frankly, you don't care.
Well, I was just going to say that they've now kind of recognised that they're beyond love and hugs and things.
Well, so there's a serious side of that.
They're really obnoxious at these PAC meetings. They're really obnoxious.
But they don't even give it a second thought.
No.
They have no interest in being liked by the likes of you and me, John, and Johnny and Neil. They want to be down in Malahide Golf Club admiring their new green or their new clubhouse.
Okay, well, we don't know that. I mean,
that's
aspersions on Jerry Masdine. I mean, he just sounded chillingly cold today. I mean,
chillingly.
Was he chosen because he has a empathy filter missing? I mean, are they chosen to be like this?
Psychopath, like that.
No, I just don't think he gets John McGuinness or Pierce. To him, They are local politicians. They're not ministers. They're not heads of industry. They're not, senior economists that have won Nobel Prizes, or writers, or, or people that have huge followings or have written books that, that are recognized as go-to reads, or they're not famous lecturers or anything like that. They're local Gombean politicians. That's the way he would look at them. He would see himself as far more cleverer, far more accomplished, and with someone with a far more illustrious career than someone from South Kilkenny who managed to get 9,000 first preference votes. That's the way he
that guy with 9,000 preference votes can actually be more influential in changing the law to really put it up to those banks. And we own the AIB, we own Bank of Ireland. We don't own shit. But where is our say? Who's representing the people that actually own this stuff?
Johnny, one guy out of a constituency that has 4 TDs alone will not do all that. You have to be a minister.
Well, listen, he was with the government that basically allowed it all to happen. So there must be a way of fixing it in some shape or form. So if you look at the situation that it is now.
Oh, sorry, Johnny, can I just interrupt you there? Vanessa, could you just go to could you do a little bit of crowd surfing?
Yeah.
And just dive down into the mosh pit. I know it can get pretty heavy there around up to midnight. It's kind of a bit dank, they say.
I think they're having a sing song actually.
So, can I just make a point on the banks there in relation to greed is good and all that?
Can you make it brief, Johnny?
Yeah, instead of the Moriarty Tribunal or the Matin Tribunal or any other tribunal, the young guys, the go get 'em cats, were looking at these guys, and it was almost like Wall Street, Oliver Stone's Wall Street. Look at them there, sitting there with all the money in the world, not a care in the world, deflecting all the answers and no accountability. That's not a bad little life. All you got to do is be a thundering prick.
It's a fantastic life.
Get away with it.
It's a fantastic life.
And we've set it up for them. These young lads looking at this now again, just another tribunal, and going, look at those guys just sitting there laughing at them, laughing at the cops, laughing at the government, laughing at the people of Ireland, and they can't be touched. I want to be like that. They're my Al Capones. That's it. So we breathe what we sow.
To leave it there, sadly, no kidney stone passed during the making of this show. So maybe next week I'll have some news to announce. A big to Johnny Keenan in Kilkenny, originally from Offaly. Neil Curran in Dublin, who magnificently produced the show, but has got very quiet. I don't know what's wrong.
We're talking about banks again. We just didn't say we didn't say the CU word tonight, though, which is good. We managed to have a conversation. We dodged that bullet.
We have a bone to pick with you. A few credit union bones to pick with you, Miss Foran.
Go for it. Go on.
We'll
go for it.
Did you win a car?
On that cliffhanger,
till next week.
But okay, we're gonna do it next week.
It's too late. You are answerable next week. Prepare.
Absolutely,
for the wrath.
Absolutely. Actually, bring in the central bank. I will deal with it. No problem.
Oh.
Can I finish my story about Cynthia Nixon, please? Just give me 30 seconds, John. I know people have dropped off now.
Yeah.
Oh, he's doing it again.
Okay.
Okay.
You'll be still running next week, won't you?
Yeah.
I don't want to speak.
And do you know what? I'm going to swap out the photograph with the photograph of somebody hitting their head off the mic last week.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, listen, everyone, good night.
Yeah, thank you so much. Hope to see you on the site tomorrow. Sorry about all the difficulties on the site with in the comment section. Things will return to normal, and it's a good exercise for everybody, I think, just to realize that there are human beings behind the avatars. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Vanessa Foran. We'll see you on the site tomorrow or here next Thursday night.
Namaste.
Thank you so much.
Did that.